right, everybody. Welcome back to the Comedy Castle podcast. I'm your host, Joel Fragumenti. Going to tell you what's going on this week at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle. Big week. We got shows on all Wednesday. Big show on Wednesday. Chris Porter's our headliner for 5 shows. We got a Sunday show, too. So let's get in. And I talked to Chris Porter on this show. That's probably why he clicked anyway. You didn't click for me. You didn't click for the Comedy Castle schedule, which you can go over to comedycastle.com and check out for yourself. But I'll tell you what's going on, and we'll get into all that right now. On Wednesday, the 18th of June, we've got School's Out, stand-up comedy for teachers by teachers. I'll tell you right now, this show is more or less sold out. It's getting really, really close. This is 8 really funny comics who all regularly perform at the Comedy Castle. And they're all doing short sets, and they're all teachers or former teachers. Ella Hormedel, Skylar Hunter, Nazik Najjar, Johnny Mockney, Jason Phelan-Marez, Mark Malig, Tim Finkel, and Will Green. And I believe there's even another one of my students, Aria Moody, who I believe is on this show as well as a guest set. So it's going to be a great night. 9 comics, 8 comics, whatever it's going to be, and they're teachers. So if you know a teacher, it's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff. That's usually how these shows go. Teachers fill them up because it's school is just now out for most teachers, and you can come watch some teachers be funny at Comedy Castle. That's Wednesday night. We have a 7:30 show there, and again, tickets are going really quickly, so go over to comedycastle.com and pick those up if you know have a teacher in your life or you like any of those comics. Great chance to see him. And then Chris Porter joins us starting on Thursday, the 19th at 7:30 p.m., Friday the 20th, 7:15 and 9:45, and then Saturday, the usual show times, 7 p.m. and 9:30. Going to be a fun week. Jay Harris and Bruce Pike opening it up. So 2 funny dudes there. Yeah. You're going to get a lot of big laughs this weekend with Chris Porter. One of the nicest guys in comedy, but also one of the best. We'll talk about Chris's reputation in the comedy business for being the best. A little spoiler. If you're going, what's his reputation? How bad? No. One of the best, and we'll get into it. And you'll know. If you haven't seen Chris, you can watch his numerous specials on YouTube because those are great. But listen to this interview. Come catch him this weekend. There's 5 shows. Come on out. He always does well. Always does well here. And then we got a special show for you on Sunday at 7 p.m. with Natalie Cuomo and Dan Lamort. They're a couple who do comedy together. I believe I've seen Dan. He's been to our club before, I believe. But not Natalie and them together as a couple performing, and they've done this all over the country. So you don't see a lot of duos out there in stand-up comedy world. But we got one for you on Sunday, Natalie and Dan, and they've both got a lot of experience and talented folks. We got a clip up there. Do we always got a clip on comedycastle.com when you click on the event? Because I don't always play clips here. Sometimes I feel like I should play clips here. And sometimes I go, if I do a clip and it goes on YouTube, that's going to get me in trouble. Going to throw me off the YouTube. So sometimes I don't always do clips, but there are clips available for you to watch online. And, of course, just Google these comics. You'll see the whole Chris Porter special. And he's got a new one coming out. We'll talk to him about it. But let me quickly plug as we go on there. The advanced comedy class, that is coming back on July the 12th. That's right, Saturday, July 12th. A new session of the advanced comedy class. That's 6 weeks. Talking all things comedy, trying to make your comedy better. If you've somebody who's been through the beginner class at the club or somebody who's done comedy for a little bit, and you want to get better, or you fell out of it for a while and you're coming back, the advanced comedy class is for you. 6 weeks. I'll teach you everything about the business of comedy, how to be better on stage, how to get yourself booked, how to run your own show, how to be an MC. It's an important skill that you got to have if you want to be a pro comic. And I'll teach you all of that starting on July 12th for 6 weeks at Comedy Castle. And you can go, you can call the club at 248-542-9900 if you want to sign up for that one. And I think you'll dig it. Most people do. I've been doing this class now for almost 12 years, and people love it, and you'll definitely enjoy it. So the advanced comedy class, that starts in a couple weeks. And there's always beginner classes. If you know somebody or you yourself have always wanted to try stand-up comedy, the beginner class with Bill Bouchard is fantastic. That starts, there's Saturday sessions and Monday sessions, or that one, I don't know the exact dates. But again, call the Comedy Castle at 248-542-9900 to sign up for that one, all right? Okay. Chris Porter, he's here. He's got so much going on in his life. He plays guitar. You'll hear about him playing with Jelly Roll. He'll tell you that story. He also has the Campfire Astronauts. That's him and Zach Myers from the band Shinedown, and they do gigs together. We'll get an update on that. We'll find out about his new comedy special that's coming out shortly, and we'll just find out what he's been up to. He tells us about going to the Sphere to see the Eagles. That's really cool. He tells us about what, the wacky acts at the open mic. There's some funny stories about that. We also talk about, is Chris Porter underrated? Is he underrated? I consider him one of the best comics in the country. When you talk about acts that come to the Comedy Castle, he's the guy that's come, maybe him and Ian Bagg. Those are the top two at this point. They're consistently there, and they're consistently drawing great crowds. So we'll talk to Chris about success. And he says, the audience, they don't always know what success is. You're coming to the Comedy Castle every year. That's successful. And I agree with that. So with that being said, we'll catch you at the end of this one. But here's my talk. Again, before I get into it. Easiest guy to talk to. Easiest interview to set up. We like a lot of the same stuff. Great dude. Here's Chris Porter, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, on the other end of my line, returning to the Comedy Castle, it's Chris Porter. How you doing, Chris?
I'm great, Joel. How are you, brother?
We're hanging in there, man. You're back. I feel like since I took over this podcast, I think I've spoken to you the most at this point.
Well, I'm sorry.
No.
You're welcome.
You know what that means, though? It means you may be the most frequent headliner at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle at this point.
Well, I'm cheap and I'm easy.
Or you're one of the best guys that comes in and the audience loves having you and the staff loves having you.
Well,
that could be true.
I'll take. Let's go with your description.
Well, I think you definitely are at this point, whether you know it or not, where it's like everybody knows Chris Porter's like, you could call it the comics comic, which some people find is an insult, but everybody knows how good you are. Everybody's happy to have you come into the club. There's no issue. It's always going to be a fun week when you're there.
Well, I appreciate that. I try to make it fun. It's comedy, so it shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah.
It's not heart surgery.
It's not, but have you come to, I'm trying to remember this. Have you come to Comedy Castle in the summer in the past?
I think I've been to Comedy Castle in all of the seasons. I know I've been there when it's been so cold that the walk was terrible.
Yeah.
And I've also been there when it's been so hot I needed a new shirt by the time I got there.
That's
true.
So
I think I've run the gambit.
Yeah, because they do the thing, and Midwestern thing about, well, in the summer, comedy clubs, man, they slow down. It's summer. When I was working the road, they tell you, it's summer money this week.
Yeah.
But
I think we're a little past that. I think people have started to come back into the comedy clubs. Not, June's tough because it's nice out, but July it starts to get hot and miserable, and people are like, "Oh, let's go laugh and be chilly."
Yeah, it's kind of hot and miserable today as I'm talking to you, but
well, good. We like that in the comedy world.
Get everybody in there.
Yeah, the worst is when you show up into town and you're like, I don't even want to go inside. Like, I wish I had a grill in a backyard to just chill in.
Yeah. When we have a real nice day, sometimes, like, especially like a nice Saturday, like that audience has been drinking all day.
Oh, yeah. And and they thought it was a good idea. And then they got there and they were like, I just want to take a nap.
That doesn't happen too much. But once in a while, you get those audiences where it's like, oh, yeah, you guys have been pre-gaming since noon. And it's the late show.
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah.
When they don't even know what they're doing. Like those are the nights where people are like, "We went to a comedy show? What?
Yeah.
I remember that."
Let's catch up a little bit. Where you been since we talked last? I mean, I'm watching. I'm looking at your Instagram. You seem to be working almost every week out of the year. What's the highlights?
Well, I do. Yeah, I do about 42 weeks a year.
Yeah.
I as a matter of fact, I'm getting ready. I take 2 months off a year. A lot of comics, they'll do like 3 weeks on and then take a week off. And I just do 5 months straight and then I take a month off.
Okay.
And so this will be my last week before my big summer month off. So I'm very excited. But where have I been? I've been everywhere. I'm back. I've done, I did some Kid Rock gigs down in Nashville.
Okay.
Local boy shout out. What up? And so yeah, I did some stuff down there. I did a roast for Jelly Roll.
Okay, yeah.
I moved home. I was living in LA for 20 years.
Yeah.
And decided, when you do 42 weeks a year, it doesn't matter where you live.
Yeah, really.
Because you're never there.
Right.
And so I decided, I moved home. I'm, closer to my friends and family. I'm much happier.
Oh, that's good.
Which isn't, great for comedy, but no, it's good. But I still go back to LA quite a bit. So I was just out there. I saw Tyler Childers at the Hollywood Bowl.
Okay.
And did a spot at the Comedy Store. I'm a world traveler. I saw the Eagles at the Sphere.
Oh, tell me about that.
Buddy, let me tell you something. If you go to the Sphere, I'm usually a guy that's like, yeah, man, do the drugs. And when you go to the Sphere, they did the drugs for you. You don't need more than 2 Coors Light and maybe half a joint.
Yeah.
And it is, when I tell you, it's rare you walk into something with the highest of expectations and then you leave blown away.
Oh.
And it was definitely that. It's
all right. I'm in.
And also, it's not just the visuals. I think he said there's 164,000 speakers behind the screen.
Yeah.
So it's just the most ridiculous sound and visuals. It's insane. But but then you do see the people that did do the mushrooms or did the acid, and they're just like, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Right. Yeah, my wife, I showed her when that place opened. I go, we should go to, just go see whoever, you two, whatever, whoever's there at the time. I go, I don't even care who it is. Let's just go and see something. She goes, I don't think I could take that.
Yeah, my mom was the same way. She was like, I think it'd be too much. And listen, I think if you go to like a Dead and Company show where the audience is very versed in drugs and visuals, I think it might be a little too much. But the Eagles, it was a lot of like very down the middle visuals that were very, don't get me wrong, they were very cool and awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
But there was never really a moment where you're like, but I've seen some clips from like some EDM shows there where they have like a giant alien like reaching down and you're like, yeah, man, that'd be a little too much. But luckily Don Henley, I think, vetoed the giant alien. So there's a giant Joe Walsh at one point, but
that could be frightening. I love Joe.
It's good. Yeah.
Man, that's fun. And you talk about Jelly Roll. I saw you playing with Jelly Roll.
Yeah, last year in June.
Yeah.
Well,
Tell us.
I go to dinner with, and I'll be honest with you, I was a little sick and I didn't want to go. I was going to dinner with Zach Myers from Shinedown, Bert Kreischer, and Jelly. And I called Zach. I'm like, hey man, I'm not sick, but I don't feel great. I don't want to get anybody sick. I don't want to go. And he's like, he called me some names. I'll be honest with you. He called me some names. And so he guilted me into going. And I'm like, okay. So we go. and I'm at this dinner, and Jelly and I have been friends for a few years now.
Okay.
And he goes, "Hey man, I'm going to go out with Bert. I'm going to follow Bert around on this Fully Loaded tour for like 4 nights, and I'm going to play some music with him." I go, "Okay, that sounds like fun." And he goes, "It will be, because you're going to come with me and you're going to play guitar."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, and I just went, "Okay, is this real? Because I have to cancel a date." And he goes, and we looked at Bert, and Bert didn't even look at us. He just kept eating. He goes, "It's real." I go, "Okay." So, yeah, man, it was like Chris Porter fantasy camp, buddy, because I got to do comedy, and then I got to play guitar with Jelly.
Oh, okay.
And it was just this great 4 or 5 nights of, Jelly doesn't fly commercial, so I got to ride with him on all these private planes and tour buses, and it was just,
man.
Yeah, it was every dream come alive in a 5-day period, and I haven't stopped thanking him or Bert. So.
Well, what kind of venues were they playing? Were they playing outdoors?
Oh,
they amphitheaters?
They were full-on amphitheaters and minor league stadiums. So I had never played guitar in front of more than 300 people.
Yeah.
And night one was 8,000 people.
Wow.
So I was a little nervous. I played a little fast that night.
Well, hey, man. The fact that, Jelly says to you, "Hey, you're playing guitar," like that's amazing.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. It's a lot of trust, and it's a lot of pressure, because there's no one. It was just me and him. There was no band.
Right.
And so, and you start to realize, unfortunately, moments before you go on stage that, these are songs that people love, and they know exactly how they go.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of nail it.
Right.
And, it was fun, and we did it, and it was a good time, and I hope to do it again. But yeah, man, that's one of those once in a lifetime opportunities that you thank God that they happened.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. That's amazing. Wow. And let's get into here a little bit about what do we got here for you? I got a whole bunch of stuff. So the Campfire Astronauts still a thing? You doing shows with Zach?
They are still a thing. It is still a thing. We won't be playing for some time, only because he's in that other band that keeps selling out arenas and doing #1 hits. So priorities. So I'm letting him go do that.
Yes.
And then, but yeah, I think in probably a year and a half, maybe we could start looking at doing it again. But meanwhile, I'm just trying to get better on my end on the musical stuff.
Okay.
And so, but yeah, no, it'll happen. We love doing it.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know if he told me, he was like, "I don't know if I can do the tour bus again, just because I'd like to stay married." And I was like, "That's fair." And so it'll be like a lot of Weekend Warrior stuff, but hey, it'll be fun. And yeah, but he's got a new record coming out. I've got a new special coming out. So hopefully, we'll be able to do it at higher exposure levels.
Right. Well, tell us about the new special. When is that dropping on us? And we're going to see some of that this weekend.
Yes, you will see some of it this weekend, because I just recorded it in April, and I'm not that good of a writer. And so yeah, I obviously do have some new stuff this weekend, but there will be some of the old stuff. And yeah, I recorded it in New Orleans on April 15th, which is tax day.
It is, yeah.
So, it was like doing a special in front of like an AA meeting. So that was nice. It is going to be called Middle Rage.
Okay.
I think. And it's a Comedy Dynamics did it. So it'll be out. Comedy Dynamics has like their own channel on cable and stuff. So it'll be out on all that.
Yeah.
I don't have we're still very early in the editing process. So it'll probably be out in the fall.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the last one I was watching YouTube on the No Money and Babies. That's got 1 million views.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I'm very lucky.
That one did very well for you.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get 1.5 million on this one.
I was talking to a guy. I don't know. The Comedy Dynamics people are smart people, and I'm not.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I was talking to a guy once, and he goes, here's the thing about the special. The one special didn't do good, and I think it was because the background was dark. And YouTube doesn't like that dark background on your stage. So if you ever make it a special, that stage has to be bright.
Yeah.
That's what I was like, I don't know.
I don't know who
that
guy is, but he's not smart.
Maybe I'll tell you off the air who that guy is. But yeah, he was like, he's a comic.
I don't know if
and
you've
he's
ever
like,
seen Eddie Murphy Raw, but that thing's dark as fuck.
No, but I guess he was saying that the YouTube algorithm, just the visual of the stage, if it's brighter, they're more likely to like put that into people's feeds.
He might have something on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe he's just not funny. I think that would be YouTube's argument. Would be like, no, they don't like you personally, sir.
Well, it's the thing about the last one did great, and then the next one didn't. That's where he's sort of going. Well, I mean, I'm still popular. Look, everyone watch this, and then the next one did, whatever. So.
Yeah, I'm a pretty self-deprecating guy.
Yeah.
Deprecating. I also self-deprecate, to be fair. I don't,
Okay.
no one helps me to do that, but I'm pretty self-deprecating. And so if my specials don't do well, I just go, oh, that wasn't very funny.
No.
You should work harder.
Well, I don't know that you've made anything that's not funny. I have not seen that.
Well, I appreciate it.
And I don't know, dozens of shows I've seen you at the Comedy Castle. All funny.
Well, thank you. The internet would disagree.
All right, so I was reading. I would normally do this and but I'm reading the comments on There's No Money in Babies, and the one word that comes up, the top 20 comments must come up half of those. Underrated. Chris Porter is an underrated comedian. Thoughts on that?
I mean, look, I'll be real honest with you. 18 of those are me. But I appreciate that.
Yeah. That's what and I'm going, well, if you're saying he's not like a household name, that's true. But anybody that knows comedy knows you, and they know how good you are.
Well, and I appreciate that. But yeah, I wish, I think when they say underrated, like, the fact that, fans are great and they love you to death. So they think that you should be playing arenas.
Yeah. Yeah.
And only, they think that that's the only time you start to make money.
Yeah,
and,
right, yeah.
And I appreciate that, but I do very well and I'm happy where I'm at. That being said, I would love to do arenas.
Yeah, absolutely.
and I'm glad. You'd rather them say you're underrated than them going, no, he's right where he should be.
Or he's overrated.
Or he's overrated.
Yeah. If it was like, why is this guy,
why is this guy at the Comedy Castle?
Yeah.
Who are you? He should be at the Comedy Surf House or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, Comedy Castle, for people that don't know, and I think that's also a thing where being in Michigan with our club, people kind of don't get what the Comedy Castle is in sort of the grand scheme of stand-up comedy or whatever. Like if you're there, if you're there, your next step is probably arenas. You're maybe theaters, but it's like, Bargetzi played our place for like 8 years in a row. And the last time only being like 5 years ago, but the Comedy Castle, you're absolutely right. I think especially people in Detroit probably take it for granted because it's to them, it's just their local comedy club. Right.
And they don't realize that in comedy industry, it's an elite. Yeah. It's an elite club. It's an historic, it's hard to get into. They don't just book anyone.
Yeah.
There's a reason you can just walk in there not knowing who's on the show and still have a good time.
And have a good time. And I was explaining that to some young comics at open mic last night. They were like, well, why is this club not doing well? I said, because people don't trust it enough to just go. Like, they're really dependent on the comic drawing. And, like, we try to book comics who can draw, but if you're good, that's enough. A lot of weeks for us is just be good, and we'll promote it, and we'll fill that place on Saturday. The other shows maybe not so much, but, got a loyal audience.
As long as you guys make a little bit of money, and it's all that matters.
But you're the underrated. You can also look at your career as sort of you're that pick your underground musician who was never famous, and you could end up being guy too.
And
Captain Beefheart, or so you're Zappa.
Well, and not to mention, there's 100 comics that I can tell you are funnier than me that never left open mic nights for whatever reason, or never left, their region. For whatever reason, and it's 9 times out of 10 it's their fault, but it's
well, there's certainly that, but it's also, and I think the one thing that people don't understand about comedy that I've seen, being around it for so long, is that the people that do the work have the most success.
Yes, very much so.
It's not just you're funnier than this person, you'll be more successful. That person that's really working hard, they'll get good. I don't think you get to a level like Comedy Castle and you stink. I just don't know that it doesn't really work out that way.
Rarely.
Yeah.
Rarely. Right. I mean, like you said, there are times that you book comics that draw that may not be the funniest.
Right.
But everyone knows who they are.
Yeah. And when it is that person who everyone can't wait to see, sometimes those folks can be disappointed. Yeah.
But also you still got to see who you wanted to see.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is even when they leave disappointed, they'll probably come back next time they're here.
You'll see. Yeah, that's one of those things that some guys just keep that draw. Some guys, they get hot, and then it's like, don't see them again. That's why your run at our club is so amazing. Because I don't know how many years has it been? Would you say?
At least 8.
Yeah, at least
8. Yeah. So
there you go. You're killing it.
I'm loving it. You guys have always treated me well. I love coming out there. You and Wild Bill treat us so well. And
thank you.
And then,
appreciate that.
But also Royal Oak's a beautiful town. Like I love walking to the club. I love walking back because you can just stop and get something to eat.
Yeah.
Stop at that, what is it, Rocket Burger?
Yeah, Comet Burger.
Oh, Comet Burger.
Comet Burger. That's a good place. Yeah, I love Comet Burger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the 24-hour late night joint.
Yeah.
Which pretty sure is run by like the mob or something.
Yeah, that place, I want to say that place used to be good. I haven't been in there in years, being as close as I am to it.
Any place open 24 hours is suspect just right off the top.
There's something's gone wrong if you're in there.
First off, if something's open 24 hours, you don't go in before midnight.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the rule.
Interesting.
Like no one going in there at like 4 p.m. because there's nothing in there for you.
Yeah. I got to bring this up to you because it's kind of jogged my mind here. On your official bio on ChrisPorterComedy.com, I'm looking at it here. This line towards the end. There are no sound cues, no puppets, and no catchphrases. Tell me about these comics with sound cues for people that don't know or don't deal with this or you've seen it. Because from my perspective as sort of the tech guy at the club, it's one of the things I hate the most.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, and you can tell me, but it's not as prolific as it was back in the day.
Okay.
Like I remember in the mid to late 2000s, I feel like a lot of feature acts came with a CD.
Okay. Yeah.
And they would give it to the DJ and they would be like, there's 7 different cues, and they're all just play it DJ.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
You know, and then it's just, it's a crutch and it's a gimmick, and it, for whatever reason, but it always worked. Like those comics always did really well.
Yeah.
And the multimedia aspect does add something to it. But as a purist, as a guy that was raised comedically by guys that hated that, you know, it was just always kind of frowned upon.
Yeah.
You know, and so, yeah, like it was just one of those things that when I made the bio, I was like, yeah, there's no sound cues, there's no puppets. It's just me on stage with a microphone and let's go to town. So
I have a theory on the sound effect thing as far as I've seen at the Comedy Castle. The people that have them, like guys like you that came up in comedy clubs, you don't have them because, like you're saying, the people that you were opening for, they frowned upon it. You were the opening act. Even if the headliner got that, you didn't get that when you were opening up. And the guys that sort of become these instant headliners because they're TikTok guys or they're, Instagram famous, those are the people that show up with music to walk out to. They have music to play when the audience is walking in. They want a certain Spotify mix that we got to play for them. Then they got sound cues. Then they walk out to a different song and walk off to a different song. It's unbelievable.
Well, and I came up at a time where most clubs didn't have a sound guy.
Right, yeah, yeah.
There was a manager that brought you up, and then, after that, they were nowhere near the song. So it was like if you had a song you wanted to go up to, I remember back in the day as a feature act, to be like, "Can I go up to music?" And they'd be like, "No."
Yeah,
you just go, "Okay."
We've seen guys that open mic bring a boombox. Like, I'm going to just come out. This is my thing. And I just look at them going, this isn't going to work, dude.
That's almost, at least there's like, I don't know, there's a part of me that kind of likes that because there's like a irony to it where you're like, yeah, I'm doing this. But yeah, I've seen the boombox was always great because especially at open mic nights, they would bring it up and then it wouldn't be loud enough.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it was always very integral to the bit. And it's like, we can't hear what you're saying.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I came up, I started comedy in 98, which I think was the very end of like, where we were there was obviously the boom in the 80s, but then it just went away so badly. And then, when I was coming up, clubs weren't opening. They were closing. Yeah. For the most part. And, we were the last ones, I feel that like we're on the frontier. We were frontiersmen. Like it wasn't like, oh, my buddy does that. No one was doing that in the late 90s. And which was great because the shows, especially open mics, would be just fucking weird.
Yeah.
And dark and hilarious. But like, it wasn't, funny was not listed in that line of adjectives, but, now it's a little more homogenized, which is probably for the best, but, it is crazy. The internet has been great for us as comics because it's taken the gatekeepers away and all that, but it's also kind of opened the floodgates to basically every open mic night is turned into the first 2 episodes of Last Comic Standing, where they just show a bunch of freaks that
guys making content, making reels at the open mic.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely what it's become, man. Last Comic Standing.
Oh yeah. I was in it. Like, I was very fortunate that I got, I didn't have to stand in line. I had just moved out to LA and gotten a manager. So he big dicked me into the fold. But, Last Comic Standing was huge for me.
Yeah.
My career isn't the same without it.
There you go.
And so, and I look back at it with the fondest of memories. So.
Nice. All right. Well, I think we've said it all for today. And we want people to show up and hear more of you. That's what we're going to do.
Well,
we're not going to give it away for free.
Well, I appreciate it.
So come check out Chris this weekend, guys. It's always fun having you, dude. Like I said, not blowing smoke anywhere. You are one of the best guys that comes through that club year in, year out. Always a great show. People should come out.
Well, yeah, you should. You pieces of shit.
All right, Chris.
Just kidding. You're all fine.
They're all great. They're all great, these listeners. They're listening to the podcast. They're really engaged. Can't
They're
insult
good
those
folks.
people. All right, Chris.
They're the salt of America.
Absolutely, dude. Hey, I'll see you Thursday night, man.
Joe, brother, can't wait.
Take care, Chris. Bye-bye. Well, there you go. So no boombox. Don't bring a boombox on stage. It's always... I don't think I've ever seen a boombox on stage with a comic, and that set went well. I'm going to say never. So come see Chris this weekend, man. It's always fun. His new special's coming out, so you're going to get to see a little preview of that this weekend. Some of that stuff, he says he's working on new stuff too. He's funny. He's angry. I would call Chris sort of a modern Lewis Black. Yeah, not that Lewis Black isn't. I don't think Lewis might be retired. I don't know. You hear those stories that Lewis is retiring from the road. But Lewis, angry and funny. Chris, same deal. He's angry about stuff. He gets loud. You would love to get angry and scream in a room full of people about stupid stuff. Well, things that annoy you. Well, that's what Chris does, and it's great. You're going to love it, guys. If you haven't seen Chris Porter, this is the chance to jump in. It's going to be hot, like you said, hot this weekend, 90s maybe. Come on out to the Comedy Castle. It's nice and cool in there. We want to see you there. And don't forget about the advanced comedy class, all the classes at the club. We've got the showcases next week, too. We'll talk about that maybe on next week's show. But until then, come out. Come see Chris Porter, guys. Have a great time with us. We'll see you there. Thanks for listening, as always. We'll catch you next week.